We know you're a future millionaire. That's why you came here to discover with us the secrets of a regular accountant who beat the lottery system and built a steady source of income by winning the lottery not once, not twice, but 14 times and across several countries. So if you dream of being wealthy and successful, but people tell you that's like winning the lottery, don't let the odds bring you down. After watching this video, you'll be one secret ahead of them and closer to your dream. So let's get into this story. Just an accountant. Stefan Mandel was an ordinary guy with a big brain. He grew up in the communist-era country of Romania, where there weren't many honest ways to earn money, and none to get rich, at least not outside the law. So he was always in financial struggle. But Stefan saw the light in a government-sanctioned lottery. It was the late 1950s, and Mandel worked as an economist for the Romanian Mining Consortium when he first came up with the idea of beating the lottery odds. Of course, Mandel wanted to find a sure way to hit the jackpot, so he brainstormed for a long time until he discovered the perfect mathematical formula that could predict 5 out of 6 winning numbers in a 6-number lottery game. Mandel started to believe that the lottery was his ticket out of the country. After thorough and careful research, the mathematician reportedly created a number choice algorithm based on his own method. He called this method combinatorial condensation. With this weapon on his side, he reduced the probabilities of predicting the winning numbers in such a game from 1 in several millions to 1 in several thousands, establishing a methodology. The first time he tested his algorithm, 4 years after having developed his formula, he bought a lot of tickets with the help of loans he took from 3 of his closest friends. He really needed this thing to work, or he would end up being up to the neck in more debt than ever. When he finally put his discovery to the test at that time, he only aspired to win the second prize, which required matching only 5 numbers. But to his surprise, he won the jackpot. His idea proved successful, and all his effort paid off, as he won the first prize of the game, approximately $19,000, which at the time, we're talking about Romania in the 70s, represented almost 18 years of his regular salary. So after paying all his debts and giving their money back to those who helped him in the endeavor, he still had $4,000 in profit, which was enough to start a new life. And that's precisely what he did. Finally, Mandel had enough money so he could leave communist Romania behind. Bye-bye, Romania. Being a Jew, Mandel set his sights on moving to Israel. However, because it was almost impossible to leave his country at that time, Mandel had to bribe foreign ministry officials to escape safely. For a while, he settled in his new home in Israel, but soon after, he moved again. This time, he and his family started moving from place to place around Western Europe until he finally decided to leave the old continent and settle down in Australia, a country with a stable and established economy in the 1980s and not too expensive to live in. It was in this country where he would devise his most extensive plan yet. New citizenship, new lottery. When Mandel gained Australian citizenship, Mandel was now able to do business in the British Commonwealth countries, of which Australia was a part of at the time. What this meant, in a nutshell, is that his new citizenship allowed him access to the UK lottery system, as well as Australia's. He started with a formula that would fit in well with the UK lottery system, and this strategy was much less complicated. He did not attempt to predict the winning combination of numbers. Instead, he needed to implement a way to acquire as many tickets as possible. It kind of worked as what we would call a brute force attack when trying to hack a system today. It was a tedious process, but easier than the one he applied in Romania. The winning steps. Mandel took his time to study the UK lottery system and established a series of 6 steps he would follow in order to make a profit from it. Let's take a quick look at what he did precisely. Step 1. Identify a lottery that consists in hitting 6 numbers between 1 and 40. Combinatory calculations reveal that in such a set of numbers, there are 3,838,380 possible combinations. Step 2. Finding a lottery that offered a jackpot at least 3 times bigger than the total amount of possible combinations. According to his calculations, a relation lower than this would not be enough to obtain profits and pay all his investors. Oh yeah, he now had investors and a sort of society called the Lotto Syndicate. Step 3. Attract people and raise money. Buy a lot of tickets and promise them to split the profits. That's how the syndicate was formed. Step 4. Print millions of tickets with all the possible combinations. This step sounds a bit weird, but you see, by that time, you could print the tickets at home and then deliver them to be processed. So, he printed millions to ensure he got the winning combinations somewhere in the bulk. Step 5. Deliver all the printed tickets to the delivery officials. There were tons of paper involved in this bulk delivery, but they had to accept it. The whole process was completely legal. Step 6. Take the prize and enjoy the profits. The Lotto Syndicate. The first time he executed his operation, Stefan was forced to write all the possible combinations by hand. This operation required an enormous amount of work, and he risked falling into massive debt if he made a mistake. But the 1980s arrived, and with them, the start of the computer revolution. And Mandel was happy to incorporate computerized help into his schemes. Stefan reunited hundreds of people who believed in his system and invested along with him. Mandel then bought several computers and a dozen printers that started working tirelessly according to an algorithm he created. Now, filling every possible combination and printing them was a lot easier. He and his syndicate managed to hit the jackpot in 12 lotteries across Australia and the UK. And that's without counting that they also won the second and third prizes, since they placed bets on all positive combinations. Mandel kept cracking lotteries, and each time the government enacted new rules or laws they hoped would put an end to the successful heist, such as prohibiting printing tickets at home, forcing lottery buyers to acquire their tickets in person at stores, and prohibiting bulk acquisitions of tickets. As a result, the syndicate was slowly forced toward a new target: the American dream. Mandel now wanted to make it into worldwide headlines by showing off his method. So in 1992, he gazed upon the Virginia lottery in the United States. It was a perfect candidate for his algorithm, since the $27 million jackpot was more than 3 times larger the number of combinations, 7 million tickets. He only needed to work with the syndicate again. And that's how he managed to get above $3,000 from approximately 2,500 investors, amassing a total investment of $7.5 million. They now could buy all the combinations, print all the tickets at their operations base in Sydney, Australia, and ship them to the US. The poor guys at the Virginia lottery still worked using the old ways. It was the perfect victim. Soon enough, a little army of couriers would go around the state buying tickets everywhere. It was all math. They trusted the numbers. But one store became overwhelmed with their requests and couldn't make it before the deadline, so a lot of tickets needed by the syndicate remain unprocessed. And we mean a lot. From the 7.1 million tickets they needed to buy, only 5.5 million were processed. So there was a huge possibility that they could still lose all this time, money, and effort, as only one of those 1.6 million combinations could end it all. But they were oh so very lucky. On February 15th, 1992, they all attended the lottery's final draw, and after hours of frantically reviewing all the combinations in their power, they found the winning tickets. They won the jackpot, the second, the third, and dozens of other minor prizes, amassing an overall amount of $30 million. The aftermath. After winning all that money, the genius got spoiled. He didn't compensate all his investors with the massive amount of money they were expecting to receive. Instead, they received meager compensation that barely surpassed their initial investment. The worst thing for them is that they couldn't sue him or complain, because technically, he did comply with his obligations and gave them back their initial investment. The CIA and the FBI investigated Mandel for more than 4 years, but the authorities concluded that technically he hadn't violated any rules. However, as before in Australia and the UK, and after discovering his method, the American lottery system was forced to change the lottery rules so they would never have to face another Mandel again. But suppose you want to replicate Mandel's genius idea. In that case, we have to give you the bad news. Today, most lotteries have several protective mechanisms to prevent this kind of heist. They ensure that purchasing all tickets would exceed the value of the pool prize, and they also limit the number of times one individual can participate in the lottery. These changes made this method obsolete. It is not possible to use anymore. It's worth noting that Stefan wasn't hiding at all. It was all legal. There is a story that he even discussed with the Australian lottery officials what he was planning to do, but no one took him seriously. In the long run, it was a big mistake to underestimate this man who won the lottery 14 times in the course of 30 years.
The life today of the biggest Powerball winners ever. Winning the lottery may not be as glamorous as it looks outside. You would think that lottery winners live the rest of their lives without ever having a single worry about money, but that is not often the case. Often, lottery winners simply move from having pre-lottery money problems to post-lottery money problems. Nonetheless, there are a few of them for whom winning the lottery is a dream come true, and they can make the most out of their newfound wealth. Let's take a look at some of the record-breaking Powerball winners and where they are today. John and Lisa Robinson, $1.58 billion. 3 tickets won the historic $1.58 billion Powerball jackpot on January 13, 2016. But the first winners to claim their prize was the couple John and Lisa Robinson from Munford, Tennessee. They received their share of the prize, the lump sum of $327.8 million, in a heartfelt broadcast on the Today Show with their daughter Tiffany and their dog. Even after such a huge win, the couple decided they would still live their regular, ordinary lives. In an interview, John said, "These big fancy houses are nice, but you gotta clean them," while Lisa maintained that she would still go to work and Tiffany hoped her father would buy her a horse. They did say the first thing they would do is to pay off their mortgage and their daughter's student loans. They also said they would donate to Christian charities around their home. 2 years later, it didn't surprise anyone when the Robinsons moved to a $6.2 million mansion. The luxury home sits on 320 acres with 10 spacious bedrooms and 8 bathrooms, with a well-equipped home theater thrown in for good measure. They also have a private lake and a fantastic view of Tennessee. As for work, Lisa has since retired, while it is unsure how John spends his time now. For the most part, the couple has kept their life private, just like the next couple on this list, whom they shared the $1.58 billion jackpot with. Maureen Smith and David Kultschmidt, $1.58 billion. Maureen and David from Melbourne Beach, Florida, claimed their share of the $1.58 billion lottery a few weeks after the Robinsons claimed theirs. But the $327.8 million jackpot has not made them change their lives significantly. They have continued living in their $300,000 home in Florida, they shop at the same stores, and eat at the same restaurants as before. Although they upgraded their cars to a $90,000 Tesla and an SUV, they have not splurged on anything else. They go about their everyday routines as if they have not won a third of the biggest Powerball jackpot ever. In fact, they still play Powerball. Speaking of going about normal lives after becoming a mega millionaire, check out what the next family did with their bounty. Marvin and May Acosta, $1.58 billion. The last of the $1.58 billion winning trio is Marvin and May from Chino Hills, California. The couple has kept a low profile since their win. It took them almost 6 months to claim their prize. Bear in mind that Powerball jackpot winners have up to 180 days to prove they're legit winners. The Acostas have mostly stayed quiet, save for their charity endeavors. When they announced they would be actively involved in a charity initiative, scammers started using their identities to request sensitive information from people. Several people received scam letters claiming to be from the Acostas. The scammers went as far as setting up a website called Acosta Foundation that duped the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation website. While the Acostas have taken up charity, this guy from Milwaukee is using his money to live his dream life. Manuel Franco, $768.4 million. On March 27, 2019, Manuel Franco from Milwaukee was the sole winner of the third largest jackpot in lottery history, a mind-boggling sum of $768.4 million. Manuel bought $10 worth of tickets at a Speedway store in New Berlin, Wisconsin. Winning the jackpot was a reality he never even seriously considered. He opted for a lump sum of $477 million and took home around $326 million after taxes. Manuel struggled with money before his win. When he became a multi-millionaire, imposters swarmed the internet asking people for personal information. Manuel has decided to keep his life private, deleting his social media accounts. Although he mentioned that he would use the money to travel and take care of his parents, it's hard to tell what he's up to these days. At least we can assume he's enjoying his millions in peace, unlike the next winner who had to deal with some really creepy people after winning. Mavis Wanchik, $759.7 million. Mavis Wanchik from Massachusetts is a 50-plus mom and sole winner of the August 27, 2017 draw of the U.S. Powerball. She won $759.7 million and took home $336.35 million after taxes. Before the win, she worked at Mercy Medical Center in Springfield, but with $300 million now sitting in her bank account, she soon quit her job. After she won the jackpot, she announced that she wanted to be alone at home while she figured out what she wanted to do next. Unfortunately, she caught the attention of the public, and some people started to search for her house. Some would even go to the extent of knocking on doors in her neighborhood to figure out which house was hers. It got so bad that the cops had to be stationed at her home to keep trespassers away. But her life has been off the public radar for some time now, so the best guess is that she has the privacy she desires. Mavis would have probably gotten her privacy quicker if she did what our next winner did after winning his jackpot. Robert Bailey, $687.9 million. Robert Bailey won half of the $687.9 million jackpot with a combination he had been playing for over 25 years. The real definition of persistence. He got rewarded for his patience on October 27, 2018, when he won $343.8 million and took home about $125 million after federal and state taxes. Robert promptly hired a lawyer and a financial advisor to help him navigate his new wealth. He announced that he would use the money to care for his family and help people around. He also announced his plans to be very smart about managing the money, and hiring a lawyer and a financial advisor is a good step. Hiring someone to manage their money certainly seems like the norm for many Powerball winners, including this woman who won the jackpot from Iowa. Lorin West, $687.9 million. Lorin West from Iowa, single mom and winner of the second half of the $687.9 million Powerball jackpot, seems to be doing just fine. Before becoming a multi-millionaire, Lorin worked as an insurance banker. She retired soon after to focus on enjoying time with her family and charity work. She hired a financial advisor to manage her accounts and has been sailing smoothly financially. She appeared once on the Ellen DeGeneres show where she pledged to donate $500,000 to the Travis Mill Foundation. She also set up the Callum Foundation in honor of her grandson who died in infancy. The foundation provides financial support to organizations that improve children's education, health, animal welfare, and war veterans. Under the guidance of her financial advisor, Lorin seems to have put her money to good use. We can't say the same for the next person on this list, whose age when she won will shock you. Gloria McKenzie, $590.5 million. At age 84, Gloria McKenzie from Zephyrillis, Florida, hit the $590.5 million jackpot. After taxes, she took home the lump sum of $278 million. Gloria splurged on a $1.2 million seaside mansion in Jacksonville, Florida, a massive upgrade from her $30,000 rundown rental apartment. She also dropped $2 million for a Maine high school that needed some upgrades. Gloria hired a financial advisor and put the rest of the money in the care of her son. Unfortunately, she had to sue both of them after a year. It turned out the financial advisor had no experience managing millions of dollars, and he made some bad investments that not only yielded low returns, but also racked up $2 million in charges. Maybe it would have been better if she just handled her money by herself, like this couple did when they hit their jackpot. Cindy and Mark Hill, $587.5 million. In November 2012, Cindy and Mark Hill from Camden Point, Missouri won half of the $587.5 million Powerball jackpot and took $136.5 million home after taxes. But if you didn't already know that they won the jackpot, you'd never be able to guess from their lifestyle. They've maintained pretty much the same habits they previously had, including buying their coffee at the local convenience store and choosing a modest pickup truck over a sports car. Before the jackpot, the Hills were involved in several charity projects. With their new wealth, they are even more involved in philanthropy. They funded Camden Point's new fire station and ball field and donated over $50,000 for buying the town's sewage treatment plant. They also donated a large sum of money to the North Platte High School Scholarship Fund. It appears they're putting their money to good use, but despite her good intentions, our next multimillionaire hasn't been that lucky. Marie Holmes, $564.1 million. Marie Holmes was part of 3 winners that split the $564.1 million jackpot on February 11, 2015. She went home with a whopping $127 million after taxes, and so far, she's put the money to good use. Marie used to work multiple jobs at restaurants and fast food joints to support herself and her children, one of whom had cerebral palsy. She donated 10% of the $127 million to Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church and devoted the rest to finishing her degree and caring for herself and her children. But it has not been an easy ride for Marie. Even though Marie donated $1.5 million to the church after taxes, the pastor sued her for not honoring her promise to donate $10 million to the church. Her ex-fiance, Lamar Andre, also sued her for allegedly giving away his dirt bike, repair shop, and thousands of dollars of clothing and jewelry after he went to prison. So there you have all the biggest Powerball winners ever. Even though they must have dealt with some problem or other for a while, we can assume they're all living their dream lives now. What would you do with your money if you won a Powerball jackpot? The absolute dumbest ways to scam a lottery. Winning the lottery is not easy. If we talk about statistics, you are more likely to be hit by lightning. And that's not an exaggeration. Do you want to hear about the actual math? Well, to put it simply, you have a chance of 1 in 15,300 of being struck by lightning. The odds of hitting the Powerball jackpot in the US are about 1 in 300 million. So, you either go with the constancy and patience and an enormous amount of hope, waiting for randomness in the universe to favor you, or you decide to take matters into your own hands. And if that doesn't sound right, it's because it isn't. Scamming the lottery never pays off. And that's what you'll hopefully learn after hearing about the absolute dumbest ways to scam a lottery. And get ready to be surprised, because things will get increasingly stupid as we progress towards number 1. Eddie Tipton, the Inside Hacker Man. Imagine working inside the lottery system itself and understanding its computational and mathematical complexities to the point where you can rig the system via modification of the probabilities that govern the game. It sounds really difficult and seems to be a job for a very smart person, a big-brained hacker, if you will. But this is a scandalous case in which a very smart individual gets caught thanks to their stupid procedures after executing one of the biggest lottery scams in US history. It was the year 2017, and Mr. Tipton was the former information security director of the Multi-State Lottery Association, overseeing the states of Colorado, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Thanks to his privileged access to sensitive data, he was capable of rigging the lotteries and winning a total of $24 million. After being discovered, Mr. Tipton declared, "I wrote software that included code that allowed me to predict winning numbers. Technically, I gave those numbers to other individuals who then won the lottery and shared those winnings with me." But how was he discovered? In the dumbest of ways. He was filmed buying a Hot Lotto winning ticket for a $16.5 million jackpot in a Des Moines store in 2010. Being a lottery worker, he wasn't allowed to partake in it in any way whatsoever, and he should have known that. Well, he was aware that he wouldn't be able to cash the prizes, so he conspired with 2 other men to act as collectors. They tried to cash the jackpot prize anonymously, but that wasn't even allowed in the state of Iowa. So the authorities quickly followed the clues, leading to Mr. Tipton. In the end, he was sentenced to up to 25 years for running the scams. William Foreman, the security officer. William Foreman was also an inside man, but his case was of much lower profile. He was a former security officer for the Hoosier Lottery, and his knowledge wasn't as deep as Mr. Tipton's from the previous case. But he was aware of the specifics of the distribution of tickets. That's how he knew where a $1 million winning scratch-off ticket was going to be delivered. The security breach consisted of having acquired access to a list of winning tickets from a coworker who had gotten it from the ticket manufacturer. Knowing he couldn't get involved in the purchase of the tickets, he shared the information of the ticket's location with a couple of friends who suspiciously went to the winning store in Cross Plains, Indiana, and spent $640 on a big purchase of several $20 tickets. Every last ticket in the store, to be precise. But lottery officials had already found out about the security leak and knew that Mr. Foreman was one of 3 lottery employees who knew about it. Even worse, when they tried to claim the prize, The lottery security chief immediately recognized one of the winners as someone Foreman knew. So from there, it all went down. Mr. Foreman and his friends Daniel Foltz and Chad Atkins were arrested in 2004. Foreman's friends pleaded guilty to theft and actually agreed to testify against Foreman in exchange for a lesser sentence. So they only got 1 year on probation. As for Mr. Foreman, he was initially looking at anywhere from 20 to 50 years in prison, but instead he was sentenced to 8 years of house arrest. Clarence Jones, the collector. Have you ever heard the term suspicious redemption before? We're sure you'll immediately understand what it is about when you learn that from 2011 through 2017, a man named Clarence Jones cashed more than 7,300 winning lottery tickets totaling almost $11 million. What are we dealing with here? The luckiest person on earth? Certainly no one has that amount of luck, and no lottery officials can remain that blind in front of such an obvious irregularity. Mr. Jones wasn't really lucky at all. He was just scamming the lottery and the government by helping other winners either to cash their prizes anonymously or even to scam other people. Basically, he worked full-time in what they called 10%ing, charging people 10% of the total winnings in exchange for keeping the anonymity of the real winner and claiming the prize to their names. This is done to avoid court-ordered payments of financial obligations, taxation fees, child support, alimony, etc. So he worked in conjunction with a couple of store owners by the names of Mr. George Kinsley and Mr. Bhavna Patel, who would propose the plan to the lottery winners they encountered at their store. All they had to do was wait for Jones to cash the prize, and then they would pay a percentage to the original winner and divide the remaining money among the guild of scammers. Mr. Jones was even reporting his income to the IRS as a professional gambler, so he could claim lots of losses and offset the taxes that would have been owed. It wasn't until 2015, when Jones cashed a lottery ticket that had been reported as stolen, that investigators decided to secretly monitor Jones's activities. The authorities used GPS tracking devices to discover Jones' methods and routes, and even managed to record one of the transactions on tape with one of the store owners Jones worked with. Mr. Jones, exposed, pleaded guilty in 2019 to conspiring to commit tax fraud and filing false tax returns. But he got only 2 months in prison instead of the 3 years federal prosecutors were looking for. The two accomplices pled guilty to their roles in the conspiracy and were sentenced to probation. Nowadays, the lottery has adopted a policy to catch these professional ticket cashers. Otis Latham and Russell Sparks, the dumb and the dumber. Now, we promised you stupid, and we will deliver, because this last case seems like something out of a children's cartoon. This one is the absolute dumbest way to scam a lottery, and speaks a lot about the low level of intelligence of some people that, for some unknown reason, seem to think they can hack the system. And no, not like in our first case. This kindergarten-level adventure cannot even be compared with Mr. Tipton's amazing feat. Okay, without any further ado, we'll tell you what these guys tried. Otis Latham and Russell Sparks were a couple of friends with a simple plan. All they had to do to have a ticket containing all the right numbers was to make it by themselves. So they decided they would just glue winning numbers on top of a losing scratch-off ticket. Yep, you heard that right. They would just glue the winning numbers on. Just let that sink in for a while. We don't need to explain to you that lottery tickets, or any other type of tickets in today's electronic world, aren't as simple as they look on the surface, right? Each ticket comes with lots of security measures that work together in order to determine the ticket's authenticity. A barcode, a serial number, a QR code, or any other type of identifier that quickly reveals the true values associated with the ticket. It's clear that lottery companies would implement security measures to prevent fraud, but it wasn't that clear for Dumb and Dumber here. Two adults agreeing to commit fraud together using glue to create an art attack project capable of embezzling the lottery. Man, it's almost surreal. The Mississippi Lottery immediately discovered the scam, and its officials told police that the men presented a doctored $100,000 jackpot winning ticket full of fake numbers glued on top of it. Unfortunately for Latham and Sparks, they learned how lottery tickets work the hard way. A quick scan determined that the ticket was worthless, and both men were arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit a felony and presenting a forged document in January 2020. Mr. Latham was also charged with having a false ID with him. These two couldn't do anything right. They say that no one learns from the experiences of others, but we really hope you learned something from the cases in this video. And if you're one of the people that just can't help pursuing the dopamine hit that comes with playing the lottery, you better keep playing legally. Maybe someday you'll win a big prize that changes your life forever. Just remember, lottery games are complex systems governed by chance and probability, and you just can't cheat randomness itself. If entropy has set its course to favor you with such a blessing, it'll come when you least expect it. Relax and enjoy the ride. The Black community in America has always leaned toward the lottery, with the hope of using it as a social mobility mechanism. African Americans have historically been both gamblers and game operators, seeking opportunities for wealth that were often denied to them in the mainstream economy dominated by white America. The enduring popularity of lotteries in the African American communities can be traced back to this history of Black involvement in the games, shedding light on how the United States has become a nation obsessed with sudden winnings. They say money can't buy happiness, but boy, how good would it be to test out that theory in the flesh? Am I right? It's not an easy task to achieve this dream, but one mind-blowing way to do it is by winning a big cash bonanza. So stick with us till the end of the video to discover some notable cases of Black brothers who thought the same and were blessed with a good old American jackpot. Louise White of Newport, Rhode Island, made international headlines on February 11, 2012, when she claimed the $336.4 million Powerball jackpot at the age of 81. Her win, the third largest in the game's history at the time, came as a shock to everyone, and White quickly became a sensation. She opted for the lump sum payment of $210 million, which, after taxes, amounted to an impressive $152 million completely at her disposal. Despite her sudden wealth, White remained grounded and gracious. At a press conference the day after her win, she humbly told reporters that she felt truly blessed. She explained that the funds would go to the Rainbow Sherbet Trust, named after the dessert she bought last month when purchasing the winning ticket. White's family spokesperson revealed that the trust would support charitable causes in Rhode Island and beyond. That's right, she immediately set herself up on the path to helping other people in need. As more details about White's life emerged, it became apparent that her modesty and practicality were hallmarks of her character. She hired a team of attorneys to help manage her finances and made no rash decisions. She took her time deciding how to allocate her newfound wealth, spending much of the first few months after her win reflecting on her life and blessings. In the years following her jackpot win, White has maintained a low profile. She continues to live in her modest Newport home and uses her fortune to support the causes close to her heart. She's also a regular visitor to the Stop and Shop grocery store, where she purchased the winning ticket. Her win brought joy and excitement to countless people, and her example continues to inspire others to pursue their dreams and embrace life's possibilities. Reverend Solomon Jackson Jr. is well known for his unselfish philanthropic support to the state of South Carolina for higher education. In 2009, Reverend Jackson, a retired South Carolina state employee, won a $259.9 million Powerball jackpot. At the time, he was the pastor at New Shiloh Baptist Church and was studying at Midland Technical College. He purchased the winning ticket for just $2. Jackson was given the option of taking the lump sum of $130 million after taxes or yearly payments over 30 years. He chose the lump sum and decided to donate $10 million to Morris College, one of his alma maters and a historically Black college affiliated with the Baptist Church in Sumter, South Carolina. This is the largest one-time individual donation in the school's history. His donation is the largest Morris College has ever received from a single donor. The donation will fund a maintenance and office facility, new dormitory and administration buildings, scholarships, needed repairs, a new coach bus, and the college's endowment. Jackson chose to give his donation all at once, enabling Morris College to begin using the funds immediately. Morris College is known for training teachers and ministers, and generations of students will benefit from Jackson's generosity. Historically Black colleges have played a special and crucial role in America, and they have produced a disproportionate share of Black leaders. Jackson's gift ensures Morris College will continue this legacy. Jackson's father was his main inspiration, as he supported his family by mowing lawns in the morning and working as a custodian at the University of South Carolina at night. Naming the maintenance facility at Morris College in his father's honor allowed him to bring his lessons and legacy full circle. As you can see, education was the first thing that came to Jackson's mind after he won the lottery. He said that his position comes with the good and the bad, but he promised to be led by God and not forget those who led him to where he is. Pearlie Mae Smith is another case of a black lottery winner that focused on education while helping fight poverty and helping her community. In 2016, she hit the PowerBall jackpot with a staggering $429 million from the PowerBall lottery. Then, the Smith family of Trenton, New Jersey, set on a quest to manage their newfound fortune together. Pearlie Mae Smith, who was 70 years old then, and her 7 children, immediately set out to utilize their earnings to tackle poverty. Their first move was to pay off all their outstanding debts and student loans. As Pearlie chose to take the lump sum payment, her initial $429 million prize was cut to a final payment of $284 million. So, she divided the money, and each family member received $25 million after taxes. The Smiths then established a foundation focused on promoting education, community development, youth services, scholarships, and other community initiatives. Within just 1 year of becoming multimillionaires, the Smith family donated a remarkable $16 million to combat poverty through their Smith Family Foundation in Trenton. Arthur Smith, Pearlie's grandson, was interviewed by NJ.com and declared, "We want to fund programs that directly affect systems of poverty, so we can help change the systems or change the dynamics that are causing people to be in poverty. Rather than just helping them find food or give away food, we can make it so they can obtain employment, get their proper education in order to be able to go out and get their own food." The Smith family's background in Trenton served as a motivation for their philanthropic efforts. As per the foundation's website, despite growing up in a poverty-stricken and drug-ridden environment, Pearlie Smith instilled the value of hard work, education, and treating others with respect in her 7 children. They regularly attended church and made God the center of their lives. Pearlie, who was 70 when she hit the jackpot, believes that divine intervention played a role in her selection of the winning numbers at a Trenton 7-Eleven. According to Valerie Arthur, her eldest daughter, the winning numbers came to them in a dream. Miguel Pilgrim won a very non-despicable jackpot of $52 million in 2012 after he had purchased a winning lottery ticket from a gas station in Florida, which proved to be a life-changing opportunity. Using quick pick numbers, he turned his winning ticket into a jackpot at the age of 48. This man had a humble beginning in Memphis, Tennessee, and after a stint in the U.S. Navy, he began working for the Norwegian Cruise Line's Global Security and Surveillance Department, which led him to a life in South Florida. Since his big win, Pilgrim has established a real estate company called the Pilgrim Group and has invested more than $19 million in revitalizing the historical Sistrunk Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. Pilgrim aims to revive the boulevard's rich history by opening a restaurant, retail complex, bank, and performing arts center in the area. He wants to build new vibrancy in the boulevard by creating a space that nurtures civil rights leaders and pioneers, offering a lively nightlife and music scene. Pilgrim believes that it is his obligation to invest in the area because he was raised in a similar environment and he wants to give back to his community. This street was once the hub of the richest black community in Fort Lauderdale, and Pilgrim's contributions are breathing new life into the area, which was once home to civil rights leaders, pioneers, and a bustling nightlife. He aims to provide children from the area with the opportunity to see people creating art or performing, thus inspiring them to be creative and to become whatever artist they want to be, while also creating jobs and opportunities for the people in the community. One heck of an exemplary Black Lottery winner. As you may have noticed, we brought you the most inspiring Black Lottery winners we could find around. Exemplary people who decided to share their good fortune and their literal fortunes with those in need, proving that winning the lottery might become an actual blessing for some individuals and their communities. Of course, not everything can be seen through pink glasses. There are all sorts of stories and all sorts of people winning the lottery only to end up worse than they were before. But even those who squandered their wealth would agree with us on calling it a day and remaining inspired by these amazing stories we just saw. Until next time. Smartest lottery winners. Winning the lottery seems like the fastest and easiest way to become a millionaire. But maybe you never thought about everything that comes after winning. This aftermath can be too much for some people, and there are many examples you can find in the history of lottery winners that show that not everyone is ready to manage it. Tax payments, complex taxation laws, financial mistakes, poor decision making, and insensate spending habits can transform a peak moment in life into an immediate downfall for the new rich person. That's why we want to show you some examples of the opposite. What 4 of the smartest lottery winners did with their money after winning, so you won't make any rookie mistakes when you become a millionaire. Brad Duke. Brad Duke was a mid-level manager at a Gold's Gym in Treasure Valley, Idaho, and he is one of the biggest Powerball winners in history. He was one of the 3 winners of 2005's Powerball prize of $1.6 billion. A whopping $220 million were destined to him if he chose the annuity payment. But he preferred to go with the lump sum and ended up receiving $85 million after taxes. Mr. Duke recalls his magnificent luck in an interview for KTVB. "I really didn't think things could get better for me," Mr. Duke said. "I remember thinking that, and within that week, this happened. It was dream-like reality. Totally surreal." But he wanted to go big and follow the newborn wish of transforming those millions into a whole $1 billion in the next 3 years. So he started several projects and investments and developed a smart plan. He did some squandering first and bought a car and some bikes. He helped all his family with their debts as well and hired a team of investment experts. This is how he diversified his money, by investing in gas, oil, real estate, and fitness-related businesses, his original passion. As if this weren't enough, he also put part of the new fortune into low-risk bonds. This amazing diversification allowed him to create and fund the Duke Foundation, which according to its official description is proud to power the vitality of our communities through philanthropy focused on vibrant economies, climate resiliency, and justice, equity, and inclusion. Over $30 million in charitable grants each year are the driver behind impact and improvements in our communities. Today, he's realized that jumping towards the next level and becoming a billionaire will be the task of a lifetime. But he's confident that he and his team of financial advisors can manage to accomplish just that while using the money to impact his state and his people in a good way. Now this is a smart lottery winner. Jason Fry. Jason Fry was working as a bartender when he hit the jackpot of the Florida lottery in late 2007. And after cashing out a lump sum that left him with $13.6 million, he enjoyed his first days as a millionaire by going all in excess. He basically did what many lottery winners do and started spending money lavishly. He bought a fancy brand new Cadillac Escalade and paid for a limousine drive to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando with a bunch of his friends. He even tried to follow his luxurious dream of becoming a professional golf player. But at some point, 6 months after winning and having done a lot and relaxed a lot more, he calmed down and started looking at his fresh pile of money the smart way. At 39, he acquired a Batteries Plus store and the franchise rights to 3 more. He found this new calling in entrepreneurship after finding out about the franchise from a college friend who owned one of its stores in Chicago. He expects each of the 3 newer stores to exceed $1 million in annual sales. When you look at their numbers, it's a no-brainer, said Mr. Fry, who plans to share profits with investors by way of a dividend. But Mr. Fry didn't stop at his successful battery venture and wanted to acquire a secondary business able to provide a more passive kind of income. That's why, after realizing that his other sport-related dream, becoming a professional golfer, would be prohibitively expensive, so he decided to buy a 30-acre driving range with a business partner. The driving range, located on Daniels Parkway in Fort Myers, reports him an annual revenue of $300,000. Despite having spent some money on the typical millionaire toys, such as expensive cars and boats, Mr. Fry has become a more conservative person. Even today, Jason Fry continues to save money and to think of new ways to increase his value through other investments, like real estate and the ever-going expansion of his battery franchise business outside the state of Florida. Peter Lavery. Peter Lavery was a common man, a bus driver from Belfast in Northern Ireland, but he was set aside from the rest of the ordinary people in May 1996 when he hit the jackpot in the national lottery and won 10.2 million euros. And how do we know that he is a smart lottery winner? Well, rumor has it he has tripled his wealth since. And if we take into account his declarations for the Telegraph in 2014, it all might be true. He said in an interview, "I won 10 million on the lottery, but my investment success was like winning again." But how did he do it? It's not like he was super cautious as soon as he got the money. Oh no, the new rich fever hit him like a bag of bricks. He spent £500,000 on cars in the first couple of years. He's got his hands on 2 Jaguars, a DeLorean, and 2 big and fancy 4-wheel drives. But in his own words, he's always been lucky, and Lady Fortune did him a favor in his subsequent endeavor. But hey, it's not only luck, it's also intelligence. Mr. Lavery stopped throwing money away in cars and superfluous items and proved very wise by investing his remaining winnings in a whiskey distillery, even though he is abstemious by nature. That's right, the man who built a whiskey brand has zero interest in the spirit itself, but he's a fan of its history and its business opportunities, of course. Mr. Lavery decided for his distillery to be housed in a disused jail in Belfast, and soon his business proved just as lucrative as his winnings. As is the case for all these successful entrepreneurs, diversification of investments has been key in growing the initial lottery fortune. Mr. Lavery owns at least 33 properties currently being rented out across Northern Ireland and a number of housing sites in development. So, yeah, we can see he's also gotten his hands on another investment that proves to be typical for successful millionaires: real estate. Deanna Sampson. For our last case study, we want to present you with Deanna Sampson, a woman from Sheffield in the UK, with a life full of great difficulties, who seemed to have found some light at the end of the tunnel of hardships when she won $8.9 million. This woman had a rough life in every aspect, from a struggle to make ends meet that would follow her from her childhood to adulthood, to having a disabled brother under her care and having lost her first husband in a car accident, leaving her to raise her young son alone. Continuing with her bad fortune in life, before she remarried, she lost a child born prematurely and saw her brother pass away. And that is where her story took an interesting, and we could say supernatural, turn. One day after her brother's death, she dozed off in his late chair and woke up with a message. Mrs. Sampson affirms that she had her deceased brother visit her in a dream to tell her that she would win the lottery. She was instantly convinced, so she went out to buy a ticket that ended up turning into an $8.2 million fortune. Unlike the rest of the examples in this video, she didn't go for the lavish and the extravagant. She gave away $2 million to family and friends and also donated some more money to charity. Then she took 32 of her favorite family members and friends on an expensive trip to Spain. After doing all that, she got into the food industry. She opened 1 restaurant and 3 bars. But being used to the hard work, she never became the chill-out version of a relaxed millionaire. She still prefers to work 6 days a week to have an eye on her businesses, and also because she believes that's the only way she can give a good example to her son and her daughter. Have you learned a few lessons from these super smart lottery winners? Please tell us you're not going to run and buy a fleet of Ferraris once you become a lottery millionaire. The best thing you can do is to copy the best parts of every successful case and act immediately to protect your new pile of cash, even from yourself. Get help with financial advisors right from the start. Don't waste money on lots of lavish things. Choose an appropriate field of investment to make your money work for you. And always think about the taxes. If you follow these steps, maybe you'll be the next one to appear in a future list of the smartest lottery winners. Colin Weir's lottery tale is one that reminds us both of the beauty and the fleeting nature of vast wealth. This Scottish man secured an amazing £161 million Euro Millions jackpot in 2011. That's $203 million in 2011, or $275 million in today's money. And of course, his life was instantly transformed. Over the course of just 8 years, Weir managed to spend approximately $50 million of his new fortune before passing away, leaving behind a legacy of extravagance, philanthropy, impulsiveness, and unexpected twists and turns to his personal wheel of fortune. Before getting his hands on all that money, Colin Weir was a modest cameraman and studio manager for 23 years. But fate swapped his role in life, both literally and figuratively, when it put him right under the spotlight. He won one of the UK's most significant lottery prizes ever given, the second biggest ever at that moment. In an interview, he said, "When we first realized we'd won, it felt like a dream. Everything went into slow motion, but it feels like a good thing, something we should not be afraid of, but for us to enjoy with the children. All our lives we have lived within our means and been comfortable. We appreciate that this money brings about a whole new life for us and our family. We now have so many new opportunities to explore, but we won't rush it. For us, it will be a gradual change with choices to be made." He and his wife Christine were quickly thrown into a world of luxury and never-before-seen options. And even though their story unfolds as more than a tale of mere spending, Weir's appetite for luxury was evident as soon as he cashed in his prize. He quickly went on a binge of reckless spending, which included an assortment of luxury cars comprised of a Jaguar F-Pace SUV, a Mercedes-Benz V-Class minivan, a Mercedes-Benz E-Class Estate, and even a vintage Bentley Arnage. He later ventured beyond cars, indulging in his passion for horse racing by co-owning 3 prized thoroughbreds, adding a longed-for layer of prestige and excitement to his newfound life. On the other hand, Weir sort of tempered the excesses of his new and shining wealth with an undeniable inclination for giving back, which turned into a serious commitment to several charity causes. Weir's inspiring investments started by acquiring a 55% shareholding of the Partick Thistle Football Club from Glasgow, Scotland. He did so intending to donate it to the fans and entrust the club's future to the local community. This act of generosity, a gesture that speaks of his strong ties to the club and community, proves he wanted to leave a lasting impact beyond the mere shine of material possessions. Weir's philanthropic inclinations weren't limited to sports. He and his wife Christine embarked on a selfless journey by setting up the Weir Charitable Trust, a vehicle through which they supported initiatives promoting health, animal welfare, and public engagement in sports. Their endeavors ranging from providing prosthetic legs for young athletes to funding projects that resonated with their values, displayed a deeper sense of purpose that transcended their newfound riches. Everything was silky smooth for the Weirs until the so-called lottery curse that affects the majority of lottery winners struck with all its might. Since they seemed to be doing okay in terms of balancing the new rich mentality with their altruistic intentions, the curse attacked the core of their success: their marriage. The Weir story took a left turn when the complexities of human relationships came into play. Even when the lottery prize opened the door to a new reality for them, it also created unexpected frictions and altered the dynamics of their intimate connection. Colin and Christine's marriage, spanning 38 years, eventually succumbed to the strains that often accompany these types of radical changes in life circumstances. They divorced in 2018, which resulted in Christine taking a substantial proportion, about half of the fortune, leaving Colin with roughly $81 million to his name. First of all, we need to visualize the dimension of the spending you need to achieve to get rid of $50 million in only 8 years. It's not an easy feat, but Weir managed to spend on average about $131,000 per week. As we saw before, he nosedived into all kinds of high-end purchases, including luxury cars, properties, horse racing investments, a sports team ownership, and many philanthropic ventures through the Weir Charitable Trust. But he has also been bitten by the real estate bug and acquired a $1.4 million seafront home in Ayr, a town situated on the southwest coast of Scotland, and a $6 million mansion named Frognall House near Troon on the west coast of Ayrshire, also in Scotland. This house also took another small fortune with it for all the renovations made by the Weirs. But following the dissolution of their marriage, Colin made yet another big acquisition, a coastal estate known as The Mansions, a property valued at $1.3 million, which became his residence until his passing. Besides buying that 55% share in Glasgow's Partick Thistle Football Club, he also contributed $3.2 million to the club. He expanded his legacy of giving with more philanthropic efforts, which included funding a youth academy for soccer, supporting sports training centers across Scotland, and contributing to local projects to benefit the communities. On the side of investments, he went for the smarter route and sought financial advice. This led him to the diversification of his expenses into a complex financial portfolio, which included shares in big-name global companies with strong backgrounds such as Microsoft, Moet, Hennessy, Louis Vuitton, Tesco, and others. It's also worth mentioning that Weir went political with his generosity by making a donation to the Scottish Independence Campaign before the 2014 referendum and gave more money to the Scottish National Party after the vote was lost. Finally, on the physical side, Weir battled with several health issues following his lottery win, including sepsis and acute kidney injury, which ultimately led to his death at the age of 71. But you can't say the guy didn't live his last years to the fullest, right? At the time of his passing, Weir's remaining estate included all his investments, furniture, artwork, jewelry, and a wide array of vehicles. His estate was managed by a discretionary trust for the benefit of his children and charities. After all was accounted for, Weir's expenditures summed up to an impressive $50 million over the 8 years following his lottery victory. Documentation at the time of his demise indicated that a mere $30 million or so remained in his possession. This remaining amount was left to his 2 children. His offspring certainly got some of their father's spending inclinations, since shortly after his passing, they allocated $1.2 million for a farewell gathering to honor their late father with family and close companions. An encouraging tale of triumph, good fortune, intelligence, and the unconquerable human spirit, from which all individuals, whether lottery enthusiasts or not, can gather valuable lessons. Rather than merely being a lucky winner, he provided an illuminating example of how to navigate the realm of material wealth. The saying that money can't buy happiness might hold true in some respects. Yet, Weir's choices painted a different picture. Luxury cars, sports clubs, flashy real estate, yes, but also a lot of charity, a lot of giving, a sense of purpose and community encompassing a clear vision and a goal: to enjoy life's journey, even if you spend it all before reaching a destination. Recognizing that those in a luckier journey can also find satisfaction in softening the lives of those who haven't had the incredible luck as of winning £161 million. Weir's life journey, defined by opulence, benevolence, and unexpected twists, culminated in his untimely passing at the age of 71, after battling with his various health issues. The legacy he left behind is multifaceted, a reminder that wealth, when wielded with purpose and compassion, can touch lives in profound ways. His story encourages us to evaluate how prosperity can be a catalyst for positive change for ourselves, our families, and our communities, yet also underscores the importance of equilibrium and prudent decision-making when navigating the complex terrain of newfound wealth. Hats off to this multimillionaire who, for once, was able to balance the yin and yang of lottery winners by effectively doing it all without letting his fortune turn him into an out-of-touch millionaire. Lottery winners who won again. We know you're still wanting to become a millionaire, right? Well, we are too, and everyone thinks that winning the lotteries is one of the ways to accomplish just that. But what are the odds, right? It just seems an impossible hit of luck, reserved only for a few selected favorites of randomness. But what if it wasn't that hard to win the lottery? What if you could win it multiple times in your lifetime, or a month, or even on the same day? Well, stick with us till the end of the video to discover the most extraordinary cases of those blessed with the sweet touch of good fortune. Richard Lustig. Can you imagine how it feels getting used to winning the lottery? It sounds improbable, but that's just how Richard Lustig felt as he rose to fame during his good fortune streak from 1993 to 2010. 18 years in which he won the lottery 7 times. He's also famous for being one of those intelligent lottery winners that really use their winnings to their advantage, completely changing their lives. What may surprise you about this case is that he hadn't won a giant Powerball jackpot or anything like it. All his winnings added up to just over $1 million, divided between very modest prizes, such as a trip to Memphis, small cash amounts, and a big prize of $842,000. It's easy to see that as a small amount, right? But when was the last time you won $1 million? Anyway, Lustig took the smart route by using all the media exposure that came with his fame in his favor. He decided to write a book called Learn How to Increase Your Chances of Winning the Lottery. He sold as many copies as to double his total lottery winnings. This case is so interesting because what made Lustig a winner wasn't necessarily his lottery hits, but his resourcefulness to transform his luck into actual profit. His book allowed him to appear on multiple TV shows and offer tips on how to win your way to success. But Lustig's methods were largely criticized and even considered useless as they didn't raise anyone's odds of winning. Care to know his secrets? In an interview for WPBF 25 News, he spilled the tea about his personal rules. Rule number 1. Set a budget and don't spend money you can't afford to lose. Lustig warned us about getting the fever and incurring careless behavior that costs more than any potential winnings. Rule number 2. He recommended scratch ticket players to stick with just one type of ticket from one lottery. If your budget is $100 and you're playing a $10 scratch-off game, buy 10 tickets in a row from the same roll. If you do that, there will usually be at least one winner in that stack. Rule number 3. Never do quick picks when choosing your numbers in big popular ball games like Fantasy 5 or Powerball. Lustig believes this is the worst thing that you can do. The meat of my method teaches you how to increase your chances of winning, he said. You never increase your chances with quick picks, but if you want to delve deeper into this method, you'll have to buy his book. Stefan Mandel. Romanian mathematician and accountant Stefan was an ordinary guy with a big brain. He didn't want to gamble, he wanted to break the lottery system. He was trying to find a sure way to hit the jackpot, so he brainstormed for a long time until he discovered the perfect mathematical formula that could predict 5 out of 6 winning numbers in a 6-number lottery game. The first time he tested his algorithm in Romania, 4 years after having developed his formula, he bought a lot of tickets with the help of loans he took from 3 of his closest friends. He really needed this thing to work, or he would be up to his neck in more debt than ever. When he finally put his discovery to the test, he only aspired to win the second prize, which required only 5 numbers. But to his surprise, he won the jackpot. His method was so good that he kept repeating his strategy and won the lottery 12 more times in Australia, his new residence after making enough money to leave Romania, and in the United Kingdom. Even when his methods were technically legal, the authorities changed the lottery laws and procedures to stop him from doing it again. But it wouldn't beat him so easily. His next and final victim was the Virginia lottery in the United States, which he hacked using his already proven system. He would win the lottery there for the 14th time in 1992 when he hit the $27 million jackpot. The CIA and the FBI investigated Mandel for more than 4 years, but the authorities concluded that technically he hadn't violated any rules, as it happened in Australia and the UK, and after discovering his method, Mandel forced the American lottery system to change the lottery rules so they would never have to face another Mandel ever again. Dwayne Ketterman. One Delaware power line technician called Dwayne Ketterman didn't get involved in complex schemes, nor did he play the lottery with a methodology behind it. Instead, he was simply struck by the lightning of good luck and won the lottery twice in just 2 months. According to a news release from the Maryland Lottery, the guy used to cross the state line to work in Maryland and bought lottery tickets there on his visits. His constant ticket purchases first paid off in early July 2022 when he won a prize of $18,000 in the racetracks game of the Maryland Lottery. Then, on the first weekend of August, he returned to Maryland in the middle of a family trip to Queen Anne's County. He kept buying tickets out of habit, and he won again, earning $30,785 in another racetracks game. While claiming his prize in Baltimore, the astonished man declared to the lottery officials, "I couldn't believe I won the first time. So when I saw this one, I was just stunned. I checked the ticket on my lottery app, and after a moment to wrap my head around it, I showed my wife. She was as surprised as I was. More even. This case seems to be one of those true random luck spurts since the 43-year-old Millsboro, Delaware resident declared he picked his winning numbers randomly, without any planning or logic behind his choices. So is this proof we can believe in luck? We think so. Scotty Thomas. Our previous subjects won the lottery several times in the span of several years or months, which is already impressive. But can you imagine winning the lottery twice on the same day? Scotty Thomas from North Carolina forgot he had already bought a lottery ticket for the Lucky for Life drawing and accidentally purchased a second ticket with the same numbers. It seems that lack of attention can be good for the luckiest ones. Well, the guy ended up winning the $25,000 a year prize twice. Thomas explained in a press release, "I was just lying in bed watching a basketball game on TV, and I couldn't remember if I filled it out or not. I went ahead and filled it out again, and the next morning my son asked why there were two different amounts listed. I realized I think I filled it out twice. Don't you wish all your mistakes were this fortunate?" Now that he had won the right to a double prize, he had several options to claim his winnings. Would he claim the rewards as advertised and receive $50,000 yearly for the rest of his life? Or could he take the lump sum option for a ticket, which means he would receive a one-time payment of $390,000 per ticket? Ultimately, he decided to claim the lump sum for both tickets, leaving him with about $551,851 after taxes. Not bad for a mistake, huh? Thomas declared, "When I realized I won, I had to lay down on the floor because I really just couldn't believe it." Thomas said, "It's just a blessing." After that, the lucky and distracted man decided he would pay off some bills, invest in his business, and buy a new house. Deborah Brown. We can't end the video without telling you about the unbelievable case of Deborah Brown. If our previous subjects won several times in years or even in the short span of a couple of months, Deborah's case sounds like something out of a movie. This woman from Richmond, Virginia, told the lottery officials a pretty unbelievable story about how and why she picked the same set of 4 numbers and decided to buy the same ticket 30 times. She declared that one day she kept seeing the same set of numbers everywhere around her, as if the numbers were following her. When she realized the strange synchronicity, she decided to do something about it. So on February 11th, 2019, Miss Brown bought 20 tickets at the Cheshire Field County gas station, all of them with the same sequence of numbers, 1031. But even after that, she kept seeing the same sequence of numbers, so she returned to the gas station and bought another 10 tickets. The Pick 4 category offers a top prize of $5,000, but she had bought 30 tickets. And guess what? The mysterious sequence was the winner. So Miss Brown was not $5,000 richer, but $150,000 richer. Isn't it absurd that someone can win the lottery 30 times in a day? Even winning several prizes across the years is a scenario that defies the odds or goes against all probabilities. So what do you think happened in those cases? Pure chance? Or did a glitch in the matrix show Deborah Brown the winning numbers? With lotteries getting increasingly complex every day and regulations around them getting tighter and tighter, we doubt we can ever see another case like Stefan Mandel's in which someone was able to hack the logic behind the system. But if that's the case, lottery winners can just hold on to their hopes as these improbable stories continue to flood the news. Winning the lottery conjures lots of dreams, unlocks many possibilities, and opens up paths you could only dream about before. The world is now your playground. But if you choose the wrong games, you might end up regretting it. The lottery prize might come with money, but it doesn't come with wisdom. That part is completely up to you. So let this video serve as a cautionary tale so you don't follow these dumb steps when you become a millionaire. Alright, so sit back and relax as we review the worst ways lottery winners blow their cash. That last point logically takes us to the need for financial planning. Every lottery winner who thinks they're money smart and needs no help to manage their new wealth ends up regretting that decision. The day-to-day mechanic, the office guy, and the minimum wage worker are simply not prepared to deal with the economic reality behind a multi-million-dollar prize. Some lotteries around the world, like the National Lottery in the UK, even speak directly to winners about the need to hire professional financial advisors. But, sadly, many winners dismiss that advice and live to regret it. Bad decisions, mistaken investments, lack of saving capabilities, and wasteful habits can all be avoided if a financial expert comes right away into play. Laura and Roger Griffins would have been better off accepting these proven realities. Their marriage ended in divorce after they won a $2.2 million jackpot in 2005. That's almost $3.4 million adjusted for inflation. They just decided to leave behind their careers as an IT manager and a teacher and buy a large luxury barn conversion in North Yorkshire, which cost over $1 million. They also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase a beauty salon, enrolled their daughter in an expensive private school, and started pursuing the high life, blowing money on exotic cars and a costly new house. Roger even casually blew $25,000 on financing the recording of a rock album with his old band. When the 2008 real estate bubble burst, their careless investments backfired big time. The value of their properties plummeted, and ironically, Laura ended up working as an employee of the salon she once owned, just to make ends meet. They squandered the totality of their fortune and were left with less than $10 in the bank. This might seem unbelievable, but many lottery players have gone absolutely broke, and they end up with more debt than they could ever pay. The IRS will be over you the second you win your prize. According to smartasset.com, before you see $1 of lottery winnings, the IRS will take 25%. Up to an additional 13% could be withheld in state and local taxes, depending on where you live. Still, you probably owe more when taxes are due since the top federal tax rate is 37%. So, yes, many states have their own income tax, meaning that winners will have to pay twice for the cash they won. And just think about everything you buy after that. Houses, cars, buildings. Each one of those purchases comes with its own taxes and payments. But sometimes, the IRS can even act as an agent of karma. Enter Tonda Lynn Dickerson's story, a former Waffle House waitress from Florida who refused to split her winnings with fellow employees, ignoring a long-time pact regarding gifted lottery tickets. In 1999, she received a winning Florida lottery ticket as a tip from a customer. Instead of adhering to her work and splitting the money with the rest of the girls who received similar tips, she chose to receive the money in annuity payments for 30 years and placed it in a corporation, granting her family 51% of the stock, which, unknowingly, made her qualify for a substantial tax payment on gifted money of about $1.1 million. And we're not even entering the hellish river of lawsuits and court rulings she was put through. After this, both by her co-workers and the guy who gave her the winning ticket in the first place. It's only natural that people aim to help the people who are closer to them. And if you're like the 2002's Powerball winner Jack Whitaker, this might be your cautionary tale. Whitaker, a West Virginia construction worker, received a $314 million jackpot. That's $533 million in today's money, becoming the biggest lottery prize in history at the time. People around the winner soon started to bask in Jack's generosity. He simply became the master of handouts, gifting money away until it ran out. He not only fell into the common mistake of giving away money left and right within his family group, but went even further by donating large amounts of money to his close friends, longtime acquaintances, waitresses, church members, and even strangers when he was in a good mood. He even gave out large quantities to his local strip club. The guy quickly became known for carrying big sums of cash on him, and thieves broke into his car twice to steal suitcases full of money. The first time, they stole $545,000 in cash. He didn't learn his lesson and was robbed of a second suitcase with $200,000. From close relatives receiving generous gifts to acquaintances becoming shameless freeloaders, Whitaker's life quickly fell apart. His wife left him, taking a big sum with her, his house burned down, he lost a daughter to cancer and a granddaughter to drug addiction. He became the target of several lawsuits from relatives and casinos and was robbed of almost all his remaining money in a large-scale check-cashing fraud. He died at 72 after a long illness. We saw how the majority of people would love to share their sudden winnings with their family and close friends, but the most altruistic ones even start donating to their favorite causes. That's precisely the case with Janet Lee, a humble Korean-born wig maker who received $18 million, $38 million adjusted for inflation, from the Missouri State Lottery in 1993. She became an instant philanthropist and donated millions to different charities, bankrolled the Democrat Party, and instead of using her money to acquire things, she made the incredibly strange decision to buy everything on credit. Just 8 years later, she was filing for bankruptcy and owing the surreal amount of $2.5 million to different banks and creditors. Enter the famous cliche, money can't buy you happiness. Long story short, it's true. All the complications that come with winning the lottery are unexplored territory. People usually don't have the right tools to manage the pressure and the new set of responsibilities and stress to the point of needing an escape. And if the winner is a 16-year-old girl like lucky Brit Callie Rogers, chances are that this will be an even tougher reality. Instead of a happy and restful life without worries, after winning today's equivalent to $3.4 million, Rogers found herself under substantial amounts of stress, managing an abstract amount of money, putting up with constant temptations, and facing the illusion of invincibility that comes with money. She began squandering her fortune funds on alcohol and drugs. Her addictions got out of control fast. She spent about $300,000 on cocaine alone and nosedived in the deep seas of plastic surgery, high-end clothing, and non-stop partying. What once seemed virtually unlimited went down the drain in just a decade. In 2013, she reportedly had no more than $2,500 to her name and was permanently banned from the roads after driving under the influence and crashing her 4x4 during a police chase. In a 2021 report by the Daily Mail, it was revealed that she was penniless at 33 and living on government benefits. It is also very common for lottery winners to find themselves entangled in a dark web of gambling addiction. Let's take the case of Brooklyn-born lottery winner Lou Eisenberg, who, on a Friday the 13th in 1981, won $5 million, or almost $17 million in today's money if you adjust for inflation. After receiving his prize, which was the largest lottery payout at the time, Eisenberg went down a spiral of gambling addiction, visiting casinos every weekend, hoping to multiply his money. This might seem counterintuitive since he had already won millions and didn't need to gamble for more, but for many, that is exactly the problem. Having won recently, they still feel all the thrill and the rush of winning, and they desperately look to replicate it. Lou's brain, just like many others, developed this insatiable need to recreate the dopamine high associated with the original win. And as luck didn't keep smiling at him, his fortune rapidly depleted, frequenting casinos and placing high-stake bets through bookers until he ended up living in a mobile home and struggling to pay off his ex-wife's alimony. Wealth alone cannot guarantee happiness or success. If you win the lottery, you need to think about a lot of things besides just the money. starting with your mindset and not losing track of the actual value of money. Both these things are very hard to do if you don't surround yourself with the right type of people. And sadly, if you have lots and lots of money, you will be put to the test in this regard. Honey may attract bees, but it also attracts a lot of unwanted parasites and unwanted plagues. So you need to be ready and become disciplined. Or, just squander it all until you're penniless again. While the lottery is always considered a game of luck, it turns out that sometimes it calls for a little more than luck. With special knowledge and deep analysis of the system, it's possible to crack the lottery and create a fortune for yourself. One such case is the story of Jerry and Marge Selby, a couple who returns from retirement to find a new passion in cracking the lottery system on their way to becoming millionaires. Sounds crazy, so to speak, but believe me, Jerry Selby, a regular teacher, was able to beat the lottery dozens of times, and he became a multi-millionaire. How he did it? You're about to find out. It all started one evening back in 2013, when Jerry was watching television in his home in the small town of Evat in Michigan. Suddenly, he saw an unusual game called Windfall, and the moment he looked at the game a second time, something convinced him that he could crack the system. Having a mathematical background and a master's degree in the subject, Jerry quickly realized a loophole in the game's logic. He noticed that Windfall's jackpot was quite different from other lottery games. Instead of the prize money going up when no one wins, Windfall's prize money would roll down when no one won. This, according to Jerry, would create a rare opportunity for anyone who could correctly predict fewer numbers to win. Jerry was hesitant at first. He thought other smart gamblers might have already realized the loophole and they were already reaping the benefits from it. But again, being in his golden years and with a slowed pace of life, Jerry knew this was going to be a great opportunity to make him a multimillionaire. It was also a chance for Jerry and his wife Marge to keep themselves busy, especially considering that they had just retired after selling their 17-year-old business. During their active years, the couple operated a convenience store to make a living, with Marge specializing in making delicious sandwiches, while Jerry confined himself to the liquor and cigarette section, where they served over 1,000 inhabitants of the small town. So Jerry used his mathematical skills to study the game's odds and timing. After carefully analyzing the game, he concluded that a single $1 ticket could be more than its face value in the final weeks of the game. According to the rules of the game, anyone who correctly guessed 6 numbers between 1 and 49 would win a $2 million prize. Jerry couldn't believe how easy it was for him to start minting millions by cracking the system. All he needed was to create a mathematical formula that could aid him to crack it, and boom, he was ready to go. After trying out the formula on a piece of paper just to be sure that it was effective, Jerry decided to take a leap of faith and made his first investment. Jerry knew all too well that playing the lottery comes with some form of addiction, and you're likely to lose everything. However, with this new formula, he was hopeful to make a return on his investment. So he gathered his courage and decided to start small. On the first roll down, Jerry purchased tickets worth $3,600, and when the results were out, he was surprised his formula worked just as he had expected. He won $6,300, nearly double his investment. Jerry was so excited, and this encouraged him to buy more tickets, worth $8,000. And guess what? This equally doubled the return on his investment. At this point, Jerry was confident with his formula. He knew he had cracked the lottery system, and all he needed was to invest more money to get quick returns before anyone else could get a glimpse of what was happening. So he decided to reveal to his wife that he had cracked the lottery, and that he had been putting their retirement savings into it, and it had worked perfectly without any risk. Upon hearing this, Marge was skeptical, but after a few days, Jerry managed to convince her to believe in his secret formula. Jerry went back to playing the lottery day after day, each time increasing the investment amount from their retirement savings. However, his main concern was why other people had not worked out this secret. But this did not stop him. He continued collecting huge returns from the lottery to the point of opening an investment company called GS Investment Strategies. His earliest breakthrough was when he risked $515,000 and it returned a staggering $853,000, nearly making him an overnight millionaire. At this point, Jerry made up his mind to take his company public. He started selling the company's shares to his friends and relatives who believed in his newly invented system. He would give crazy returns on investments, and this left everyone happy. Word spread like wildfire, and Jerry was the new celebrity in town. Some of the town dwellers who believed in his system equally invested with him. The system was so accurate, it almost seemed like Jerry was printing money. In fact, one of his friends was able to put 3 of his children through school and 1 through law school, all courtesy of the return on investment made by investing in Jerry's company. Jerry's second breakthrough with his system came in 2005, when a total of 25 members of his lottery club used his system to play the lottery, and they all emerged winners, notwithstanding that they all came from different professional backgrounds. This was true proof that the system was effective and that Jerry had cracked the lottery system. Although Jerry was making a fortune for himself and his investors, thanks to his newly found system, Windfall was taking huge losses. And still, the firm couldn't figure out the real source of the losses they were encountering. Eventually, Windfall was indefinitely closed down by the government, citing a lack of sales at the firm. This came as a shock to Jerry, as Windfall was his stream of income. But this did not hurt him more. After all, he had already siphoned millions of dollars from the firm. Now, with the experience and fame Jerry earned with the Windfall lottery, Jerry was invited by one of his friends to check another lottery in Massachusetts, which looked similar to Windfall. When Jerry took time to look at the lottery, he was surprised it was not different from the Windfall lottery. And in just a few minutes, he had understood this lottery and created a math formula to crack it. So Jerry decided to give it a shot with a 6-year plan to reach a goal of becoming a multi-millionaire. Lucky enough, Jerry got the support of his wife, and they moved together from Evett, Michigan to Massachusetts to participate in the lottery whenever there was a roll down. They continued buying hundreds of thousands of tickets, even as they moved closer to their goal. It wasn't a walk in the park as you'd want to think. Sometimes they had to put in up to 20 hours of work, but they still couldn't hit their daily target. At times, they would lose a huge amount, but this didn't break them either. They continued saving the losing tickets to avoid a clash with the law. Their success at the lottery spread first, and soon people started getting interested in the couple, wanting to know the secret they used to select winning tickets at the lottery. The media, led by the Boston Globe, equally received a tip about this couple and started sniffing around on them. The Boston Globe would run an investigative piece highlighting 2 groups of people who seemed to have cracked the Massachusetts lottery system. And it was surprising that the Jerry couple and MIT students were mentioned as the 2 groups who had mysteriously cracked the lottery system and had invested hugely into the scheme. The students had invested a ton, making them a return of about $3.5 million in profit. Unfortunately, when the story went public, the Massachusetts lottery system was closed down and an investigation was launched immediately. The state inspector general and his team tried searching for evidence of scams or corruption in the system, but in the end, they were satisfied that there was nothing illegal. Jerry and Marge ended up smiling to the bank, even as their investment company managed to reap an incredible $29 million in profit for the 9-year period they participated in the lottery. This was amazing, as the couple managed to transform their lives, that of their kids and grandchildren, using the money from the lottery. Indeed, the story of Jerry Selby and Marge has warmed the hearts of Americans for years, leaving them wondering whether playing the lottery could be another shortcut to unlocking the American dream. That was it for today, guys. If you enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.